Beyond the Fields is a story about rape and resilience. It's a story about two twin girls, Zara and Tara, that the poor don't need our charity or sympathy. What they really need is access to equal opportunities. I think putting word on paper, shaping stories, if you can change a certain mindset by that, and her twin does not receive justice, and then Zara decides to get justice for her twin on her terms. That's what Beyond the Fields is about. Maybe novels like these will be able to change mindsets and to be able to change thinking. Key aspect about social justice is that everybody has equal and fair access to justice. Ayesha Baqir is an author and an activist. She started her journey in 1998 by setting up Correspondent Foundation, a not-for-profit company. She'd come back from abroad studying in Mount Holyoke, where she'd received a scholarship to study international relations. And in that college, she took a class in international development, and she realized what the true situation of Pakistan was in terms of the social and economic context. And she was inspired to study that and to change the socio-economic dynamics in her country. So she returned back and she started a journey in 1998 by setting up Correspondent Foundation, and then moved on to publish her book, Beyond the Fields, 2019 in Singapore, and now in Pakistan in 2022. There were a number of incidents, a number of people who played an integral role as to who I am today. I would start by acknowledging my 12th grade teacher. In 12th grade, my parents come from a middle-class background, and they were keen that I go to Canade College and I study there as my sister had studied. I was a valedictorian of the class, and my teacher, my professor at that time, inspired me to think about applying abroad. When I wanted to take regular courses, he advised me to take advanced placement courses. And I think he was integral. I remember this one morning where I came for a regular class, and he actually shut his door and he said, "Ayesha, I'm not going to let you sit in my regular class. You belong in the more advanced class." I think someone showing faith in you at that age, that you can do it, you're made of so much more, can really inspire you for greater change. In Mount Holyoke, again, I had brilliant faculty who advised me that I should really follow my heart in terms of trying to improve socio and economic conditions in my country. I was tempted to stay back in the US because most of my friends were doing that. It was very easy to. You would get a job, stay on, and live a very cushy life. But something inside me wanted to create that change, and I returned back to Pakistan. I worked here for a couple of years, and I realized very quickly that the poor don't need our charity or sympathy. What they really need is access to equal opportunities in terms of business skills, access to markets, and being able to improve their lives. And that's where the idea of Correspondent was born. At the same time, I realized I didn't have those skills as yet. So I went and did my MBA at LUMS. I graduated, and I think I was the outlier in my class because most of my batch was joining multinationals and banks, and I was the one who was going in for a non-profit organization. I think what motivates me to write is the same element that motivated me to work in development, and that is the power to change. I think putting word on paper, shaping stories, if you can change a certain mindset by that, I think that's the biggest reward, and that's my primary motivation. When I was in Singapore, when I started writing my novel, it was about sexual assault. The novel is Beyond the Fields. It was first published by Marshall Cavendish in 2019, and it will be published by Lightstone Publishers in Karachi in 2022. Beyond the Fields is a story about rape and resilience. It's a story about two twin girls, Zara and Tara, who have dreams, who have aspirations. Zara in particular, she wants to educate herself. She wants to develop her skills and to be someone in the world. But then on one ordinary day, her twin Tara is kidnapped and raped. And Zara sees how her family, her community, and her village gives way, and her twin does not receive justice. And then Zara decides to get justice for her twin on her terms. That's what Beyond the Fields is about. It's a story about hope and resilience. I think I was very lucky. I think, I have deep faith that if you do something repeatedly, God does answer your prayers. And Beyond the Fields was a very important novel for me. Initially, it was published by Marshall Cavendish in 2019. But there were some problems in getting the novel to Pakistan. And I'm really, I think, in debt to Lightstone publishers in Karachi, especially Amina Syed, for having faith in the novel and bringing out the Pakistani edition in 2022. It's people like her who realize that maybe novels like these will be able to change mindsets and to be able to change thinking of how social issues are viewed and what hope and what promises there are for the future, especially when it comes to Pakistani girls and women. Social justice is a phrase that struck me very early when I started going to the villages. It stayed with me, but because at Caravan we focused on economic opportunities and economic development, I didn't do too much about it, or maybe didn't have the time to do too much about it until I relocated to Singapore. And when I did, the stories of the women I had worked with stayed with me. Their voices stayed with me. What have I learned? And a part of me wanted to put the narrative out there to show what I had learned, just not economically, but socially. And key aspect about social justice is that everybody has equal and fair access to justice, that they have access to healthcare, schooling, judiciary, everything that makes a human life complete.